Good afternoon. Welcome to Saints AP Bio. This is Mr. Ebb. Today we're going to talk about how to use Google Sheets to do statistical calculations and also how to use Google Sheets to create a graph with error bars. So let's jump into it. I'm going to share my screen. And so here we have a spreadsheet. And I'll just start with some real basics. You could put anything you want into the cell. So say you want to give this a title. So I'm going to call this Mice Tails Data Set. I just type it. If I want to, I can manipulate it and make it bigger. I can make it bold. I can do all types of things to it if I want to. I can change the color of it. And so there we've got it. And then maybe I'll skip a line and then I'm going to put some headings. So no toxins for our mice and toxin exposure. So I'm just typing those in. If I want, I can center those up. And I can do however I want. I can go up here until I get this arrow and I can make these a little bit bigger if I wish to. If I want, I can make each one slightly different colors. I'll make this one with the no toxins, a healthy green. And this one over here that's had toxins, whoops. We'll make that warning, no good for you. So you can play around with it all you want. And then all you simply do is enter your data. So maybe the first mouse you had was 45 millimeters, and there was a 35, then a 43, then a 55, then a 54, then a 47, and you just enter your numbers. Again, you can play with formatting. I like to keep those centered. You do the same thing with your other data set, 44, 55, 66, 23, 43, 35, whatever it might be. So that's how you enter your data into the cells, and then keep in mind each cell is referenced by the number and then by the letter, or actually it's by the letter then the number. So this would be right here, this one I've got highlighted, that is box A10. If you've ever played Battleship, I don't know if everybody plays Battleship anymore, that should be easy. Same thing here, that box is B12. That's how we reference everything on the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to where I already have one filled in with the data. Oops, actually I want to go over here to the demo. Sorry, brought that one up too quick. And so here I have one normal and toxic mice tails, and I've got the data that was collected. We have a slightly larger sample of normal mice compared to my sample of smaller mice. So I can have the Google Sheets do the calculations for me. So mean in Google Sheets, so if I go back to this formula sheet, I want to do the mean. In both Excel and Google, they call it the average. So I'm going to literally type in equals average into the spreadsheet. So I highlight where I want it to go. Up here where it says fx, that's function, I'm going to put in my function. Function equals, I'm going to start typing average, AV, and it pops up with average. And here it selected the whole thing for me. It's going to average the numbers from B3 all the way down to B54. And then I'm going to hit return. And bingo, it's got the average for me of 53.58. Another really nice feature, if you don't know about it, this changed my life when I saw it. Once you've done one of the calculations for one column, this is really nice if you particularly have like 6, 7, 8 columns. You don't have to keep typing in the formula. Just move this here till you get the cross. See, it goes from a pointer to a cross. Goes from a pointer to a cross, and just drag it across, and it automatically puts the formula in to calculate the mean for the next column. And if you had 10 more columns, it would automatically calculate the mean for all 10 columns. So that's a real time saver. So I can see there is a difference in the mean numerically from 53.58 to 33.61. Yours is probably going to be different. This is last year's data set. I did not take the time to type in this year's data. So it's the same set of mice, different set of kids measuring, so the numbers might be slightly different when you do yours. Median. I go up here again, I'm going to go equal, ME, and their median pops up. It wants me to know what the first data point's going to be. So you'll see that's waiting for it. I'm going to tell it it's going to be B3. Then I'm going to put in a semicolon, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to tell it where the last data point is, which is going to be B54. Close it with parentheses. You got to close it with parentheses, then hit return, and bingo, it gives me the median. And again, I can just get the cross, drag it over, and I get the other median. So you can see the medians are slightly different, bigger difference between the medians of 58 and 28. So instead of you having to put all the numbers in sequence, the computer will figure it out for you very quickly. Mode, same idea. What's the most common repeated number? Again, I'm going to put equal, M-O-D-E. And again, these are all listed on this sheet right here. All right, so when I put A1 to A20, that's just a imaginary range. It'll be whatever you have. It could be B7 through B15, whatever your range happens to be. And so mode, again, I got to tell it that I want to start first data point here, semicolon, and last range right there, close it with parentheses, whoops, close it with parentheses, and bingo, we get a mode of 55 is the most common number versus 20. Range, they do not calculate range for you. Fortunately, that's the easiest calculation. You're going to take your highest number, which here was 68.95. Where'd that come from? So I'm going to cheat and just go back because I don't feel like calculating it again right now. Whoops, I took it off before. So let me come back. So range, sorry, my highest point looks like it's 95 right there. My lowest point is 32. So 95 and 32, that's going to be a range of, quite a range of 62 or 63. And then here, my lowest number is 9. And my highest number, I think there's 95 here, got changed by accident, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. 63, because that 95 is totally out of range. 63 and 9 looks like to be the range, 63 and 9, so that would be 54. And actually, let me fix that data point. I know 95 is not an accurate measurement. I believe it was supposed to be 65. Should make the corrections all across the board as we go. Okay. So then that's going to change the range for sure. 65 to 32, and that's going to be 33, not 63. So range, you just have to do the good old-fashioned way. All right. Variance, the one that took you a while to calculate by hand, becomes real simple here. So I just go again, equals VA, and this again is all on the sheet, variance. And again, where do you want me to start? I'm going to start at that data point, put in the semicolon, and at that data point, close it with parentheses, and bingo, it's got a variance of 105, where this one has a variance of 223. So we would expect a much tighter, narrower standard distribution curve for the non-toxic mice, a much wider, much flatter curve for the toxic mice. To get standard deviation, same process, equals ST, there it is, standard deviation. Again, show it the first data point, show the second data point, whoops, put in the semicolon, second data point, close it off, and it gives me a standard deviation of 4.24, slide it over, not sure what happened there. All right, so let me put that one back in. This one I may have to specifically do because it has a different number of data points in it. So I'm going to go up here and select that, put in the semicolon, come down here, close that off. And yes, that's going to give me, so note with standard deviation, it doesn't like to use the empty boxes. So you can't just drag that one over. Standard error. Standard error doesn't come up directly. So if you look at the formula sheet, you have to put a little bit more of a formula in for that. So standard error, if you take a look at it, you have to sort of write the formula yourself. So you're going to take a particular box and then you're going to divide it by the square root of the sample size. So you have to write that equation in. So equals, parentheses, square root, okay? And if you forget, like I just did, you're going to go back and look, square root, and then we're going to do a slash, which means divide. And actually, I forgot to put the data point in first. So before that, we want to take the standard deviation. So I want to tell it where is the standard deviation. It's in box, in this case, B60. Now I'm going to put the slash in, divided by the square root of the number. That's the sample size. So I'm going from 54 to 3. So that's a sample size of 51. So I got to put the sample size in parenthesis, and then close it out. Standard error of 0.59, pretty small. Where you can see a much bigger standard error for the toxic mice because it's a much bigger variance at 2.09. And then for confidence index, again, there's not a direct formula, but as it shows here, you can do it pretty simple. Take your standard error and multiply it by 1.9. Actually, that should be 8. Right? Or you can make it 2. Either one is fine. I'll just make it a little bit more precise by making it 1.98. So I want to tell it up here to go equals, parentheses. So I want to take the standard error, which is box B61, and I want to multiply, which is the little asterisk, by 1.98, parentheses, close. And there you have your 95% confidence index bar. So now there's all the stats that I need, which didn't take hardly any time at all. Now, next step is I want to be able to create a graph and to display this data. So because this data is all clustered here, I just find it easier to type the data out into a separate area. So I want to first make a graph of the mean. So I've got 53 and then 33.61. So I'll update that number, 53, 33.61. So I'm going to highlight what I want to graph. So I want to graph these 4 things. Over right here, this picture where it says insert chart, I'm going to click on that. Hold on. Time out. All right, something's being a pain in my butt here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a separate video on making the graph while I get this straightened out real quickly. So that's how you put in the statistical test in the spreadsheet. I apologize on the graph part. Something's locked up on me here. So I'm going to stop this video here and I'll make a separate video on how to produce the graph. Thanks for listening. We'll be in touch.